Hi everyone, it's Eliana and I have another tailored expression card to share with you today. This one was really simple to make and I really enjoyed their fun little grumpy critters. I'm going to be starting with the sketchy borders and I am going to go across the cardstock. So I've tucked my creative corner into the corner so that I'm able to hang the banner across the edge. And I'm starting with the lighter colors, and then I'm going to overlap it with the darker color. I'm not really worried about masking or anything like that. So my first banner I stamped with mint julep, and now this banner I'm going to be using the lollipop color. And some of the banners are a little stiff, or straight, I should say. And what I did was just curve them on the lid of my MISTI. You do want to be careful because I don't have any paper down on the base, and so the ink is still wet on the base. So you want to be careful to keep your fingers out of it so that you don't get smudges on your cardstock. This next banner, I'm going to be using the yellow that's in the Tailored Expression inks. Let me see what color that is. Okay, that color is lemon meringue, and it's a pretty sunny yellow. I'm not being too careful about I'm just overlapping. I'm not really planning anything. I'm kind of just winging it a little bit. I did make this card previously, but it's not exact. For the blue color, I'm using Cookie Monster. And for this next banner, I did curve it a little bit. And I'm not sure what color I'm going to use, so let's see in just a second. So you can see how straight that banner is, and so I'm just going to use the lid of the MISTI, and I'm just going to curve it a little bit, check my position, and then I'll be good to go. And the color I picked was Pink Champagne, which is just one of the 4 shades of pink that Tailored Expression has. I'm just using my stamp chamois to clean off my stamp, and then I'm going to move on to coloring my critter. These little grumplings are so cute, and some of the sentiments are just really funny. I'm just going to stamp it on the corner. I'm going to use the Oreo color, and I believe it is Copic safe. I didn't have any problems with my Copic markers, and so I'm just going to use that color. I'm just going to color it just like the packaging has the brown that's on the product packaging. I didn't really want to figure out what colors to use, so I just copied the same little critter picture. What's really nice about the ink pads from Tailored Expression is that on their website you have this free download, and they actually tell you what Copic markers match the inks. So what I did was I stamped out my little swatches, and then on the back of my swatch I just wrote down the Copic color that corresponds with it. That way when I'm trying to match colors when I use their ink pads, I'll be able to find the colors easily. I might just have to go back and do that with all of my ink pads, just find markers that are similar and just write down the number on the back of my swatches. So for the critter, I'm just using some simple coloring, and I'm not trying to do anything too fancy because it's such a small area. The colors that I'm using to color with are in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, so you should be able to see what I'm using. I am using the tip-to-tip method just to do a little bit of a smoother blending because the colors, there's no in-between color, and so this way I get a better blend. And then if you go outside the lines, you can always take your white gel pen and just fix any mistakes that you've made. And for the belly, I'm not really sure which colors to use, so I just kind of picked a couple that I thought would work well. And I think I changed my mind partway through that I didn't like the color that it was. That's the one. And so I went back with a different color just to try to add a little bit of shading. I think this card would be really good for any friend that has a good sense of humor. Now, the pink that I'm using is the pink that Tailored Expression recommends with their to match their ink colors. And so the RV17 matches their lollipop, and the B52 matches their sprinkles. And so now I'm going to go back and do my traditional overstamping with VersaFine Onyx Black. It just gives the little critter a little bit of a pop, and then I'll do some clear embossing. I will take the corresponding die, the coordinating die, and I'm just going to put it on with the washi. These are really easy to line up, and I'm going to run it through my Big Shot. And then I'm going to assemble my card. So I'm trying to figure out where I want the sentiment to be. And what I'll do is I'm going to fiddle with it on my MISTI for a little bit. And this is pretty much how I did it. So you'll see what my thought process is. So I'm just taking the first sentiment and I want to place it so that part of the sentiment kind of tucks into where the tail is. But having these be red cling mount, it's really hard to tell where it's going to stamp because the stamp is always bigger than what the sentiment is. So I'm just going to stamp it onto some acetate. That way I can make sure that it's straight, and it's not quite as straight as I want, so I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. You could just stamp it on the base of the MISTI, but I'm going to use that acetate to help me position the sentiment inside how I want the sentiment to tuck into the critter. So I'm just trying to check to make sure that this is where I want it. And I want it to be moved over a little bit, so it's not in the right spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all over. So I'm going to scoot it over, and I'm just going to, I didn't even check to see where the stamp would lay on the card. I'm just going to stamp it on the acetate. And once I get it straight, I'm trying to figure out which end of the stamp I need to move to make it straight. And I'm going to try it one more time. It's still not quite straight. So I'm just going to flip that over so I don't have to worry about cleaning it. And now I'm happy with how the sentiment is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place the little critter. I'm going to put a little bit of removable adhesive behind the critter. And I'm just going to place them on there for now. Then I'm going to line up that sentiment exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to tuck it in right by the tail. And then once I know where it's at, I'll remove the acetate and put a little magnet to hold my cardstock down. And then I'll just stamp it. I do want to move the little critter out of the way. And now that that's all done, I need to do the second sentiment. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm not going to worry about lining it up or anything like that because I could use the other sentiment as a guide to where I want it to go. And so I'm just going to stamp it onto my acetate. And this transparency is free on my website, so you can just go there and you could download it for free and you can print it out. So what I did was I just moved my cardstock to where I wanted the sentiment to go and held it down with a magnet, and then I stamped it. Now I'm just going to dip my cardstock into my clear embossing powder, and I will heat set that with my heat gun. And I did get a little bit of a smudge, so I'm just using my sand eraser. It's by Tombow. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of foam behind my critter and just mount him onto the front of my card. I like to add a lot of adhesive because I don't want the edges of the critter to sag or anything, so I just add little pieces, and then I'm just going to position him right where he needs to be. Now I'm taking a coordinating cardstock that comes in the paper pad, in the coordinating cardstock that Tailored Expression has, and I've just put it into my embossing folder, and this is from Tailored Expressions. It's called Take a Number, and I like their embossing folders because you know which side is the correct side, because the name of the embossing folder is facing towards you. So the way you want your embossing to go is the way that the name of the embossing folder is. I know Tailored Expressions has a lot of enamel dots, and I tried to find matching ones to their colors, and I just went through my stash and I just used what I had. And these are from, I ordered these a long time ago from a website called Peachy Cheap. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it, but they have a daily deal. And I remembered seeing these on there, and it was a really great deal. And so I ended up ordering 2 sets of the enamel dots. So I have a ton of these, and I'm just going to try to use those up. And so I just scattered these all over, thinking that it could look like confetti. And I also did another card, and I used sequins, and I tried to position them as closely as I can. And you can also notice that my sentiment is a little bit different on the right card, and I like that placement a little bit better. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.